Slideshow to help. Welcome to this masterclass on the winter solstice and how to prepare for it. We're going to talk about why and how to approach the winter solstice as a journey rather than a one-day event. I'm going to give you some ideas for how to set your body and your home up so that you can descend into the darkness and come back up with something very valuable in a safe way. And I'm going to make sure that everyone here gets a list of resources for how that you can use during your own winter solstice journey practice. And I'm also going to tell you about how you can journey with us collectively with the Mother Tree community. And I'll let you know about that at the end. So what is the winter solstice? So briefly said, it's the longest night of the year, and it usually happens December 20th or 21st. And the reason why it varies is because of the wobble. The earth wobbles as it spins on its axis. But the thing about the winter solstice that I didn't realize until I started not just observing it, but talking more about it and thank you so much, and getting feedback from people. As I was sharing what I knew, people were telling me what they knew. Earliest sunset and the earliest sunrise is not on the 20th or the 21st. In fact, I got an email from someone who said that the earliest sunset is going to be tomorrow, December 8th. The latest sunrise is going to be on January 2nd. I wanted to share that with you so that you could get a sense of this is like a window we're in. This is a window we're in. And there's a specific day when we're at 270 degrees on the ecliptic that you can call the winter solstice, but we are in a window. We're in a window of increasing dark, later sunrise, earlier sun setting. And one of the reasons why I think it's important to remember and to think of it as a window is because when you think of it as a window, then you're more aware of a gradual kind of descent and a gradual ascent. In traditional Chinese medicine, they talk about solar terms, and in traditional Chinese medicine, it's like a 2-week period between December 21 and January 4th. So when I'm talking about the winter solstice window, that could be anywhere from December 8th through January 4th. And how long you take for your descent and your ascent is up to you, to what you can do in your life, what makes sense for your body, your family situation, your work, other responsibilities you have in your community. I would say it's important in your ascending and your descending to always have the 21st, which is what it is this year, included in that time period. People are naturally slowing down, wanting to take naps, wanting to stay in bed longer, wanting to go to bed sooner. And I think if we honor the solstice and the solstice as a window, it's almost like we give ourselves permission to be in the window, in the period that we're in. And when you go with your body, so it's physical, I'm tired, slower, that kind of physical thing. But I think there's also emotions associated with winter and with the winter solstice window. So we know in traditional Chinese medicine, they say that the fall is a time of release and it's a time of grief. Doesn't mean you can't grieve other times of the year, but it's like everything is conspiring for you to be able to release grief in the fall. Similarly, everything energetically is conspiring with you for you to actually feel fear in the winter, to delve into and acknowledge your fear. So when you slow down, go to bed earlier, wake up later, or take naps, or whatever you do to go dormant, that is the time that sets you up to be able to journey into fear. Just to touch on it, to taste it, find out what it's about, to befriend it. And when I didn't have the winter solstice window to work with, I actually felt really guilty about feeling down and slow when it's the most wonderful time of the year, when everyone should be pep. Literally, I feel myself get slower, and I would feel sadder and sadder because I felt like when I had kids, I felt like I was letting my kids down. And then I was trying to hide the sadness, which of course creates a lot of tension inside and more sadness because I'm denying myself, I'm covering stuff up, I'm being inauthentic. My God, it was such a mess. It really was a mess. And I just did the best I could. I'm compassionate to myself. I did the best I could with what I knew. And I didn't really want to feel sad, honestly. So I wanted to be in the most wonderful time of the year and use sugar, alcohol, caffeine, all those things to pump me up, to help me make it through. And of course, you do come down from those substances and you do feel, well, it's still there. You haven't actually healed or moved through anything. You just maybe even a little more tired, a little more sad. The other benefit, I think, to embracing the winter solstice window is it gave me something to do other than resent consumerism. I can be very judgy. I'm a Virgo, very judgy. And I get so judgy of people who are like buying stuff. And I always say, do they need it? Do they need it? No one wants to hear me ask them that. They really don't. And also that whole idea of where you put your attention grows. So if I put all my attention on how messed up Xmas is, how it's over materialistic and it actually doesn't make me feel better. It doesn't change my energy. So by having something that I could embrace over a window, it gave me a place to put my attention in a positive way. It gave me, and I'm suggesting it will give you a way to grow something positive if you're disaffected with the overculture. Okay, so I think that you heard me say that it's make it a window, pick your window. You can line it up with work and with school and whatnot. And I think the other piece I just want to say about it is that when you start working with the solstices, and people start their journeys with attuning to earth rhythms in different places, but a lot of people are tuned into the longest day or the longest night. That's a great place to jump in, to start to align yourself to the earth's rhythm. And for me, that was where I really started to jump in, and where I went to retreats and just started to reorient myself to earth as opposed to the rhythms of capitalism or the rhythms of the Gregorian calendar, or it just helped me to slowly shift and really honor what. I'll just say this right now. The new year for me is not January 1st. I am still so burrowed into winter. The new year for me really is in the spring. And that just makes more sense for every piece of me. And it was a journey. It was just a journey to get there. And the winter solstice is a great place to jump in and start your attunement journey. So let's go to the next slide, which is how to prepare your home for the winter solstice. Okay, so to journey on your, however long you're doing, 4 days, 6 days, 10 days, 12 days, whatever your journey is, it's important to prepare. And I think it's important to prepare your space. And by your space, it could be your whole home, the land that you steward, or it could be a part of a room, whatever you have that you can be responsible for and that you can set some boundaries around. Think about that. That's what I mean by how to prepare your home, how to prepare your space for the solstice. Because the space, the physical space that you prepare is going to give you a sense of safety and comfort. It's going to raise your frequency. It's going to inspire you. So paying attention to your space before you journey it's going to make your journey so much more juicy. So much more gold can come up. You can go deeper when you have safety. So in my case, I have a home office that I also call my temple. And so I start to clear out this space. So declutter it, clean it. And you want to do that in as joyful a way as possible. So you put on some good music, if music helps you, or humming or singing songs, if that helps you, or complete quiet, if that's what you like. But So you want to declutter and clean your space mindfully, consciously, heartfully. I also energetically cleanse the space. I was looking for my frankincense. So you might have bundles of sage, palo santo, mugwort, cedar. There are different herbs or plant moringa that you can burn to help energetically clear your space. And it's awesome if you can burn something that you've thrown or something that's local to where you are. And if you can't, for whatever reason, then the next best thing is to buy it from somebody that you trust. And one of the resources I'm going to give you at the end is from Bridget's Way. And this is a woman-owned business right here in my part of the world where I trust what she does when she works with plants. So I would totally buy anything from her. Adding beauty to your area. So that could be art, being choiceful about what art you want to take down or you want to put up. So in my case, I have on my wall two Black women holding their fists up, and one of whom is crying. So that's on my wall all the time. For the solstice, I actually might take that down. I might want something a lot more vulnerable, a lot softer, a lot inner facing rather than outer facing. You'll make your choices. None of this has to be done perfectionistically, but I'm just saying, think about it, about the art that you want to have up in your space. The other thing that's going to help your space increase the frequency, the vibratory frequency of your space, is water. Having high vibrating water in your space is very powerful. So you can have a jug, a bowl, a little glass, a fountain of water. But having water in your space is really good because it holds vibration, but also because water is one of the main elements that you want to work with during winter. So having it highly structured is going to be really cool. It's going to be really good for your space. And also that water is going to hold and absorb all the positive energy that you create when you're in the space. You can invite social justice heroes, sheroes into your space with images, people who have passed or people who are currently who you admire into your space, spiritual teachers into your space. I think flowers, plants, of course. And then the last thing I'll say about your space is that creating reverence. So in my space, I don't allow people to come in and I don't allow myself to come in with my shoes on. That's how I distinguish this space from other parts of my house. Sometimes it's a pain in the butt, but it is a way to ritually say that this space is a different space than this other spaces in my house. I'm so glad that so many people on this call are already signed up for the Winter Solstice Soul Journey we're going to do as a Mother Tree community, because if you do all this before we start our 4-day journey, we're going to be able to go so much deeper, do so much more deep resting and letting go. So I'm really glad that even though you're already planning to come to the 4-day soul journey, that you're here now, because this preparation is going to make that so much more fruitful. Okay, so how do we prepare our mind, bodies, and spirits? To me, it's important to tell people around me, because this is a retreat most of us are going to be doing at home, where you already have people who expect things of you. There's certain rhythms in your household already, etc. Pets, loved ones. So I think it's important to tell the people who are you living with that you are embarking on a special focus for whatever your window is. 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, whatever that is. Let them know I'm doing a journey for this period. Put it on the family calendar so people know. And you're setting a boundary for yourself, maybe even more so than the people around you. Letting them know that you're not going to be as available. Maybe make some clear decisions like, okay, I'm not going to cook dinner on those days, or I'm only going to cook dinner twice on those days, or whatever it is that works for you. But creating some kind of boundary or outline for what it is, how you want to journey inside of your home space is really important. So in the soul journey, we're always going to go in 12 to 1:30 together. That's going to be like set. If you are doing this on your own, you just want to set the time that works for you. It could be 6 a.m. to 7:30 or 6 p.m. to 7:30, whatever that time is. We want it to work for you, and make sure that you have childcare or elder care support for whatever the time is that you pick. I think it would be really helpful if you got a journal, which is like on the list of things I'm going to give you to get at the end. And in your journal, before you officially start, just write a word or two about why you want to do it. Another thing that will help you to set apart this window from other parts of your life is if you release a habit that maybe that isn't that great for you. For example, you might want to release having alcohol during your journey, or you might want to release sugar, caffeine. Maybe you want to release screen time, or not going to bed when you feel tired, always pushing yourself to do one more thing. Whatever it is, when you choose to release something, it's like leaving your shoes outside the door, just for this period of time, this special window. It may free up a little more energy for you to go within. It may help you to see some things that you use other substances to not see. Also, during the solstice period, removing your phone from where you sleep, and if possible, turning off your router. Often I have my phone by my bed because when I wake up at night, I like to put on a podcast, help me go back to sleep. I have certain patterns habituated into me with my phone. So I don't say it lightly, oh, this is easy for everybody. But I do put it out there because it could help you to shift. It could affect your dream patterns. It could allow you to sleep more deeply. View it as an experiment and be kind to yourself. The other thing, in terms of preparing body, mind, and spirit for the solstice, having a playlist is so cool. And I'm so low tech on the playlist issue. I'm just going to tell you, for me, it would be a list of links of music I like that's on YouTube. That's how basic I am with playlists. Make sure that you include music that is really slow and music that is really vigorous. Because even though we're going to go down and you're getting slower and slower, a lot of times before you can really get slow, you got to jiggle stuff out. You just got to move stuff that's sticking around in your system. So those are some tips for preparing your body, mind, and spirit. Besides choosing how long your window is, I think it will also help to pick a same time every day when you are going to do your solstice rituals, practices. This creates regularity, rhythm, less decision making in your brain. Should I do it now? Should I do it later? And sometimes when we have a lot of decisions to make, it's just we end up not doing it because we just can't decide. But if you make one decision, it's always going to be 7 a.m. Then you're done. But for some people, maybe you're super rigid and what you need to is expand out of that. So you might want to say, wow, for 4 days, I'm going to be so free flowing. You pick what's going to support you. And I think the big thing about your solstice rhythm is that everything we're doing is a practice, not a perfect. Everything we're doing is a practice, not a perfect. So don't make the winter solstice a reason to beat up on yourself and remind yourself that you're not good enough. Because then you're just practicing that. All right, so let's have a moment I just want to hear from you what's happening for you with this, questions that you might have or experience you have of doing anything like this. This is a time for a little bit of discussion for just a few minutes, and then we're going to talk about the energies, the winter energies that we're going to be encountering and working with.
For me, I always slow down at this time of year. I just naturally, I sleep more. I move really slowly. It's hard for me to be on time anywhere. So this is perfect to just have a little community around doing it and structure and intentionality. I appreciate that. And I'm sitting in my office slash meditation area, which is my little sacred space, and just thinking about what I want and need in here. And I'm really feeling water. It's a story. I was really felt that yesterday. I was at a dance performance that was all water connected. I walked to the lake, which is right down the road. I was like, so I'm really feeling, and I'm feeling the water in my body too, I think. The move, like water, it moves, it flows, and it feels like the change, undercurrent of change, like things that are happening, but they haven't quite surfaced yet already.
Thank you. Loved hearing that, Shira. Yes, Amy?
Well, I'm really looking forward to doing this retreat and then doing the other retreat. But I think there's a way how it's appearing for me now is besides this absolute need for slowing down and going into the darkness and all that, which I've been experimenting with and thinking about for a number of years. I also I just have this, it's also a time of gathering and celebration. And that those two things, I really am feeling more like those two things don't have to be opposites of doing the celebrating with family or friends or whatever, and then taking the time to go inward. And so feasting and then resting.
Yeah. And you feasting and resting. And I know for me, I can be more comfortable in bigger groupings when I'm more rested.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Like if I invest in it, honestly, if I do yoga nidra a lot this time of
mm-hmm.
year. Wow, I can be so much like more sociable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about the theme for this solstice as receive first. Let yourself receive first. And it could be little ways, like it can be just to receive the sunshine that was out one morning when I was at my computer, just to sit and receive it for, I don't know, it was like 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes. And then I could go back to I was giving. Yeah. So thank you. I love you putting it together.
I'd like to say something. Sorry I'm not on camera. Starting with the meditation we did and the bouncing, I just feel a sense of comfort. The meditation, I was like in tears. I find this, sorry, I'm having a difficult time mentally and emotionally, but I feel excited and I feel grounded in myself.
Mhm.
And I'm looking forward to this ritual.
Hmm. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Hmm. Yes, thank you. Yeah. That's like perfect segue into the energies that that we are encountering because we are in winter right now, but that we can consciously work with. Thank you, Jennifer. You're so awesome. But we can consciously work with them rather than try to resist them. Darkness, yes, that's the obvious one. And I'm a sun girl. Like I was born in September. I was born like my mom said 6:30 a.m. My high point in the day is catch me at a good time. By the time it gets dark, I am done. I am no good. I do not want to do things. And that's gotten more intense as I've gotten older. But one of the things I found as I've gotten older and more attuned, so working with the solstice, um, is there something also very comforting about the dark. if we can work with it and not be trying to make it different. If it gets dark earlier, instead of turning all the electric lights on, what about just using a few candles and like appreciating the darkness? Or we have a Christmas tree with lights on it. So turning off all the other lights and just having the Christmas tree lights on. So the darkness is part of the space. It just feels, it feels beautiful and good. And spending some time in the dark, like with a candle or in the dark, if you don't have to have any light on, but spending some time with the dark can just help you to notice your attitude towards it. And maybe if you're not resisting it, maybe what arises is a little bit of comfort with it. Because in truth, we gestated in the dark as human babies. The darkness, the womb is dark. It's a place of incredible nurture and power. And one of the things about, I would call it Western culture, is this emphasis on the light, the sun. And like I said, I love the sun. But if you've ever read N.K. Jemisin, in her God and Goddess trilogy, she really investigates what it's like to emphasize the light to the neglect of the dark. When you make the light your God and you completely neglect the dark, how toxic and taxing that is. Coming back to the dark, just in very gentle ways, sitting with it, appreciating it, allowing good things to happen in the dark will help you to work with the energy of it and to see what there is for you. So sitting with the darkness, candlelight, journaling, breathing, just watching, feeling, all that is restorative. And in the natural world, when it comes to times of darkness, all these trees around us, even the pines, they lose a third of their leaves. The deciduous lose a lot, almost all their leaves. So everybody's in the dark. It's just that time to root and to restore your very core energy. So I invite you to use that energy of darkness. The next thing, I guess, energy to deal with is fear. Fear is an energy. And I remember I was with my daughter on this retreat and she said, emotions it's just energy that you can feel. And so fear is just an energy. The problem is that fear depletes our essence. Fear can be instructive. You can also take fear of my father-in-law had a fall and he's 86, maybe 87. So I have fear of what's going to happen next. So the fear can also be taken during your solstice window, whatever it is that you're afraid of, meet it, acknowledge it, and you can put it on your altar. You can put it on an ancestor altar, you can put it on a plant altar, but the going with the fear means that we're not trying to fight it or repress it. This whole winter energy is one of yin energy. It's one of allowing. It's receiving. So we don't want to try to get all yang and try to fight fear. We want to have a befriending attitude toward it, a learning from it, but holding it inside of a bigger consciousness. We are not fear. Fear may be happening, but we are not fear. So that's an important energy to work with. Another one is water. Shira talked about water yesterday, and I said that water holds frequency, water holds memory. In traditional Chinese medicine, they say water sinks. It's not like fire. Its natural tendency is to go down. That's why The energy of winter is slow. It's like letting yourself go down, letting yourself go down. You do not have to be peppy. You don't have to force it up. But when you deep rest, when you allow and you drink a lot of water, your water is helping you to descend. But ultimately, it's also helping you to not get stuck in the lowest space, whatever your bottom is. You don't have to get stuck down there to visit down there. So water is actually also part of your ascending back up. How is that? When we drink high frequency water, more alkaline water that we bless with our breath or with prayers or with songs or chants, that water becomes like this healing agent that helps us to come back up. So when we talked about how do you prepare your space, I mentioned water, consciously putting water in your space, but you can also put high frequency water all over your house in jars. You can pick up some water, hold it, be grateful, drink your water. You can just consciously work with water throughout the entire journey, however many days you are. Every time you have water, use it to heal. The other thing I just want to mention is about water is in traditional Chinese medicine, they talk about the kidneys being the organs that are like preeminent in the winter season. The kidneys also being where fear gets trapped and where your essence is. And so the more fear you have, the more it's depleting your essence if you're not working consciously with that fear. Befriending it, finding out what its message is to you about, holding it as your bigger consciousness. Your adrenals and your kidneys, you may find yourself wanting to do this. Hold the back, hold your lower back, rub your lower back. It's all good. It's all good. That's also very healing and reassuring and working with your kidneys and water in your body. I'm going to keep going and then maybe we'll take a break at 10 after into some simple rituals and practices. So the things I'm going to say, you can do as many of these as you want, or you may only do one that you really every day. I'm putting them out here just so that you know what your options are, but I don't think you should try to do all of them. I think slow is good. Slow is good. We're not trying to be exhaustive. The first day is to write your intention. So, the first day you officially start your soul journey, write an intention. Don't worry about it being perfect, but it helps you to come back to it at the end if you've actually written it out. And an intention is written in the present tense, and it's not about other people. It's about you. I intend, or I am being slow and more self-loving than I've ever been in my entire life. Maybe that would be an intention. Or I am being gentle throughout this period, or I am honoring my boundaries deeply during this period, whatever. So those are some examples of possible intentions. One of the most important practices, of course, is deep rest. Deep rest, not your normal rest, like maybe normally you go to bed and you wake up and that's how you rest. But I want to encourage you to find additional ways of resting besides your nighttime sleep. So I highly recommend Yoga Nidra because it's a way, and it's been around a long time coming out of India. It's a way to deeply bring your body and your mind to a resting state without losing consciousness. They say that Yoga Nidra is twice as effective as normal sleep. So 1 hour of Yoga Nidra, 2 hours is equivalent to 2 hours of sleep. It works for me. It works really well for me. So I invite you to try it. In the handout you're going to get from me, I have different, maybe you like a man's voice, maybe you like music, maybe you like a woman's voice. So there'll be some different options in there. But when you do this yoga nidra, it's a way to meditate without having to be upright, without having to worry about, does this hurt? Does that hurt? Because you want to get yourself into a shavasana pose or the equivalent of whatever that deep resting pose is for your body. And then just follow along, follow the guided meditation so that you don't have to make any decisions. Just follow along, be receptive. Besides yoga nidra, which is such a great form of deep rest, body scans, a lot of mindfulness. There's all kinds of body scans out there. I started with body scans before I found yoga nidra. Very restful. And then I wanted to say something about meditation. So many kinds of meditation. As a daily practice, you need a deep rest practice and you need a meditation practice. Ideally, super ideally, like if you do the soul journey with us, you're going to do a yoga nidra in the morning and a yoga nidra at night over 4 days again. And you're going to see how your body starts to automatically let down and find it easier and easier to go to descend. During yoga nidra, they ask you to say to yourself your intention. Lately, I've been working with the intention, I am earthy. I am earthy. The reason why is inside indoors a lot more because it's been cold, and I was noticing I was starting to feel a little sick. And so I started working with that intention, and it just helps me to remember that I'm part of the earth, that I'm not an office worker, I mean, or whatever. It's like I am still earthy. I am earthy. I am earthy, even though I'm not on the land as much. So that's the cool thing about yoga nidra. And so whatever intention you set for your solstice window, you can repeat during your yoga nidra and it'll all work together. So let's talk about a couple of other practices. Water. So we keep coming back to water here. So in the Winter Solstice Soul Journey that we've been doing, I always invite people to go to a body of water, a pond, an ocean, a stream, a river, whatever is. And when you go to that water, really just allowing yourself to use all your senses to appreciate it. So I know Katie and Amy lead groups and individuals on forest journeys, water things, the hearing, the seeing, smelling, bring in all your sensing abilities on board so that you can really just be with the water. And then writing in your journal. That is a very simple practice that will help you to descend. And on the other side, to ascend. The other thing you can do is when you take a shower or a bath, sing, hum, pray out loud for however long your shower, your bath is. Use your vocalize to create positive energy around you, which the water picks up. And then, of course, your body is absorbing steam and water through your pores. So you're just getting it all in here. And that's right in your house. You don't have to leave to go do that. It's very simple. How do you make high frequency water? So one thing is, of course, the singing, praying, chanting over your water. That will affect it. But you can also put water in a jug or a jar and just shake it really vigorously. That's going to help to energize your water. Our water from our municipal systems and whatnot tend to be very flat, whereas high energy water tends to be water that is moving through lots of obstacles, and it's like swirling and gaining energy in its movement. So if you don't have a structuring device, then you can just homemade structure your own water yourself through vigorously shaking it. I do have a structuring device. I have two. I really went in on water. I think water, we raise the vibration of water in our house and on the land that we take care of. I think it helped our land to heal. I had a mentor who told me that there had been some massacres on our land. And so there was deep sadness held in our land. And by structuring the water in the pool, structuring the water, all the water in the house, we have a whole water device situation going on here. We have been elevating the frequency of our space over the years now. And our land, it's so interesting, it was in 2021 that I started to change, but I think our land also started to change so that we could feel it loving us. And we were starting to love love her. So water is so powerful. Beloved ancestors, the other practice that you can do is to create a simple altar where you have one or just a couple of ancestors for whom you have such love and respect. So nobody difficult on that altar, just the people who you have such incredible love and respect for, whether or not you were biologically related or not. If they've passed over and you have this beautiful love and respect for them, place them on an altar and ask them to be with you as you journey. Everybody's going to get my whole blueprint for ancestor communication, and that will give you lots of ways to work with and communicate with your ancestors, to invite them to be a part of your journey. Befriending your body and your feelings. So another practice that I started doing seriously maybe in 2022 was noticing feelings and sensations in my body and befriending them rather than trying to get rid of them. So I got a crick in my neck. Oh, let me roll my neck. Or it hurts, let me touch it. Instead of automatically trying to change it, which is what I do automatically, befriending is like slowing down to just notice, not asking it to change, just being with it. And there'll be a meditation I'll give you a link to where you can actually dialogue with parts of your body to find out more about what it's holding, why it's holding, and what it needs from you. Oh, wow, we're almost done. Okay, community and mentors. So it's finding other people who want to honor the solstice, who want to cultivate peace, who want to slow down. Very awesome, very cool. Everything's easier if you do have somebody else who's helping you create that. Hearing other people's little miracles, difficulties, all that stuff is just, it just makes everything, it just shifts our reality, because sometimes we think reality is out there and we're in here, we're doing our thing, and there's a real world out there. When we're in community, we are the real world. The real world is a community that we're creating and sharing everything, our sadnesses, our insights, gifts, all that stuff makes everybody feel uplifted. So I think you really need to do this with a community. And if you have a spiritual director, somebody on your life, a mentor, someone who feels a little ahead of you and journeying spiritually, it would be great to tell them what you intend to do and ask for their support. Maybe set up an appointment at the beginning or in the middle or at the end, somehow to get their support as you journey. So plants, I'm going to send you in the links. How do you communicate with trees? I just want to say this one thing. It has been a big practice for me lately to visualize a rose in the center of my heart and to talk to people from the rose and to listen to people from the rose. I invite you to check that out. Adding plant essence to your water, also very simple, not expensive to do, but could be very powerful for you. All right, so now I want to just tell you a little bit about the solstice, because there are a couple people here who have not signed up for the solstice yet. We're going to journey together Thursday the 19th through Sunday the 22nd, so it's like a long weekend. So why would you want to do this 4-day deep dive? So I think the biggest benefit is that you get a structure laid out for you that you can just fill in. You don't have to do a lot of thinking on your own. And if you're a beginner, it's an awesome way to come into honoring the winter solstice, to have someone else design it for you. Next slide. And if you're not a beginner, but you've already done it a lot, just having some accountability, community to share it with. If you're in a leader position a lot, it's so nice to be able to let someone else lead. So when I think of it as a community, I say, okay, think of it like a candle. One flame is beautiful, but when we come together, wow, so much more light. It's like everything gets amplified. We can heal more in a community. We also tend to follow through when we're in a community. When we say things like, I'm not going to go to bed with my phone, when I've said it to other people in community, I'm more likely to follow through on it. You could journey and direct yourself. But why is it helpful to have a guide? Is because it's easy to get tripped up with the shadowy parts of ourselves and to feel very alone and very not worthy. The other thing is that when you're descending, if you can have some support from someone who's used to going in between worlds, that can be very helpful so that you don't feel crazy. Okay, if you sign up by Sunday, which is tomorrow, there are some fabulous bonuses, including this Winter Solstice guidebook, which is like the basis for this slide deck was this guidebook. So I will just send you the guidebook, and it has all the step-by-step stuff that you need. We will have a live Q&A session. The date for that is going to be determined. We are going to use WhatsApp to just share stuff, poetry, images, whatever you might need or encounter, and get some more real-time support. You don't have to do this group. If you feel like, no more groups for me, that's fine. Next. It's $500. And I call it reciprocity because it's like inhale, exhale. You need both. You need to give, you need to receive. It keeps the community healthy when there's a sharing of resources. And this is what it costs for me to be able to offer it. To sign up, you would just go to the link in the chat or go to my website, and I will put that link in the chat. Is it for you? I just wanted to put a slide up there. A lot of different people have done the winter solstice from different ages, genders, situations in life. I think if it feels right for you, if you're hearing this class, it probably is right for you. If you want to hear more about the solstice soul journey that we're going to do collectively, I'd be happy to answer your questions.